to resign from the House of Representatives. Congresswoman, thanks very much for coming in. Lots going on. Yeah. This is Pamela Brown, not Pamela Greene. Just want to make that clear.
And she has a beautiful name.
She has a beautiful name.
Thank you. I'm proud of my last name.
That's right.
And your name is Greene, not Brown.
That's right.
I want to be precise. In addition to what we just heard there, President Trump posted yesterday that you are, quote, and I'm quoting him now, not America first or MAGA, and your, quote, new views are those of a very dumb person. That's the President of the United States speaking about you. What's your response to these latest attacks?
Well, actually, Wolf, I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name-calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way or win some kind of fight. And I think that's exactly what's wrong in America today. That's what's wrong in this toxic political environment that has ripped our country apart. And I personally think that that's poor leadership from a president. It's a very bad demeanor, and Americans are very tired of it. And unfortunately, I also am concerned because I don't think the president's team nor the speaker have told the president about the legislation that I've introduced, that actually much of it directly literally aligns with the agenda that he campaigned on, I campaigned on in 2024. Many of my bills are actually his executive orders in legislative form. And if the speaker would pass my bills, if the President Trump were to sign them into law, guess what? His executive orders, which make him literally a temporary president, his executive orders, which are my bills, would become law, that would become permanent. And so I think it's very unfortunate.
Because when I hear him talk like that about you and insult you and attack you like that, I worry about your security and your family's security. And you've been getting some increasing threats, right?
Yes, and that's what I take so seriously. As a Christian, I'm not angry at the president. It's easy for me to say a prayer for him and forgive him. But the part that I have had a very hard time with is the fact that he called me a traitor. And because of his words, that brought serious threats against myself and my family. We had a pipe bomb threat on my home, a pipe bomb threat on my family construction company and staff, and had multiple pizza doxings. But the serious one was the direct death threats on my son. And I think that goes beyond anyone's arguments or disagreements or politics. All of our children and our family's safety should matter to anyone, no matter if they're mad at us or disagree with us. I think that should be something we respect.
And when you told President Trump about this, can you tell us a little bit more about what his reaction was to these threats?
Yeah, it was shocking to me. I sent those death threats directly to him in a text message and informed him of what his name-calling and words were doing, the direct result. And it was a direct assassination threat on my son. And he was extremely, I won't repeat what he said, but it was extremely unkind. No sympathy, no care.
I'm just wondering, obviously it would be good to hear what he said, but do you feel like you were duped? I mean, as you reflect on this moment and these attacks against you, you have been such a staunch supporter and ally of President Trump. Do you feel like you were duped by him?
I feel, maybe I don't know if I would use the word duped. I think it's unfortunate for the entire country. And I think the message is, and many people are saying it directly to me, if the president, because I stood with rape victims, women that were raped at 14 and 16, victims of Jeffrey Epstein and others, they claim that there are other men. Because I chose to stand with them, that's what caused the president that I fought so hard for to get elected. That's what caused him to call me a traitor. And I think what many people are saying to me is, if he would do this to you, he would do that to any of us. And that, I think, is a terrible message to be sent to the country and many of the people that stood goodness, hours in line for a MAGA rally that I went to, by the way, and went to many of those rallies and spoke at on behalf of him. I think that's a terrible message to send. I think our country has been in a state of crisis for many years now, and what I personally want to see happen is all the vitriol and toxic politics to be put away, and leaders to actually work for the American people.
How much do you think President Trump is responsible for the toxic politics? I know you've addressed your own role to my colleague Dana Bash, but what about Trump himself?
Oh, absolutely. He's a leader in it. And so were others on the other side. I mean, we can look, there was a weaponized Biden DOJ against the president and his family, and state AGs that went after his family. All of that is extremely toxic and dangerous in itself. I fully am totally against any type of weaponized justice system for political purposes. However, it's the language that just continues it. And it's extremely unhealthy. It sets a bad example, but that's what has been created on I call it the political industrial complex. It's the two parties that are pitted against each other, and the president, he's a leader of that on the Republican side.
It's hard to believe a president of the United States is calling a fellow Republican congresswoman a traitor. I mean, it's pretty awful.
Wolf, I'll add to that. I have a 98% voting record with President Trump. 98%. I don't see how that can be a traitor.
Can you tell us anything more about what he said, though, when you told him about the death threats? Because I think that's telling.
I don't want to, at this time, directly repeat his words, but I can tell you in nature, I literally was shocked that he was so unkind and accusatory. There were other things that shocked me, though. I sent those same death threats to his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and his deputy chief of staff, James Blair. They didn't even reply to me. And I would have expected at least Susie Wiles, who's a woman, a mother, a grandmother, I would have expected her to have said, this is unacceptable, we'll send it to Kash Patel, or something of that nature. We'll make sure your family's safe. I would have expected those responses, not for them to take sides in any way. I understand they work directly.
J.D. Vance did respond, though, right?
J.D. Vance, I give a lot of credit to. Okay. He was very kind and caring about that. And I did send to Kash Patel, and he said on it.
Okay.
It's interesting. Your Republican colleague, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, says in a new opinion piece that Speaker Mike Johnson, and I'm quoting her now, is better than his predecessor. The frustrations of being a rank-and-file House member are compounded as certain individuals or groups remain marginalized within the party, getting little say. Women will never be taken seriously until leadership decides to take us seriously. Speaker Johnson recently said he's the, quote, biggest champion of women GOP lawmakers. Do you predict that some sort of women's revolt in the Republican House conference could take place?
I read her op-ed and I thought it was masterfully written, and she's right. And this is something that I've been speaking out against for quite some time now. It is extremely frustrating as a rank-and-file Republican member in our majority, our Republican majority, that many of us women are not taken seriously, and our legislation is not taken seriously. I'll give you an example right now. Mike Johnson promised me that one of our it's in my bill, it's called Protect Children's Innocence Act. It's a key piece of legislation that is one of President Trump's top campaign promises, and that's to protect any child under the age of 18 from gender-affirming care. Our position is let these kids grow up. They need to grow up before they do any permanent changes to their body. Mike Johnson, that bill has passed through the Judiciary Committee. It is ready to go for a House floor vote. Johnson promised me a vote on it after the shutdown, and it has yet come to the floor.
Why do you think then Johnson says he is the biggest champion of women? And do you think that there could be more defections, particularly a revolt, as Wolf said, among women in the GOP?
Well, you're seeing it. I don't know how he can speak out of one side of his mouth, but his actions fully show the hypocrisy. Anna Paulina Luna, she has a discharge petition now on a bill that she fully believes in to change the way members of Congress are allowed to own stocks, and she has that in a discharge petition, can't get the support from the speaker to bring it to the floor for a vote. But you've seen Elise Stefanik. She went to war with the speaker just last week over an amendment she had that was extremely important. So you're seeing Republican women lash out directly at the speaker because he sidelines us and doesn't take us seriously.
What's next for you? What are you planning on doing now that you're leaving Congress?
A lot of happiness.
You were a big fundraiser in the GOP. I mean,
Yes, as a matter of fact, I paid my dues to the NRCC. Every single Congress raised hundreds of thousands of dollars more and paid in, supported many Republican candidates and raised money for them, but didn't get treated very well, unfortunately, not only by our Republican majority, but also, unfortunately, by the president, which I supported. I'm looking forward to seeing my family and friends a lot more.
You're going to have some happiness
you
indeed.
came and sat here and you said, I'm a lot happier now, but I just have to quickly ask,
Okay.
what do you say to the critics after you announce your resignation? They say, you should stay in the fight, or you're only doing this to receive your pension, you're announcing the day. I just want to get your response to that.
You know, I think that's unfair criticism, and I would ask anyone. I've had over 773 death threats that my office reported to Capitol Police, and a direct death threat on my son. I would ask anyone to consider, should I have to become like Charlie Kirk? Is that what I have to do?
And I have a big impact on you.
Yeah, and I think that's too much to ask. And then as far as the pension's concerned, we're required. Did you know we are not allowed to exclude ourselves from it? It's taken out of our paycheck, and we are forced into it. Congress would have to change that with a vote. So that's a pension I'll get. I think it'll be like $700 and something, and at the rate of health insurance going up, I think by the age of 62, I might need that $700. No, I say that in jest. But the criticism, like I get criticized for coming on CNN, and you just had a Republican before me on CNN, and it's unfair criticism because Fox News doesn't ever invite me on. They invited me one time recently after I resigned. We've responded back to the producer, and they still haven't said when I can come on. So I thank you. I enjoy coming on, and I appreciate the questions.
And we hope everything turns out great. How old is your son?
He is 22.
22.
Yes.
So he's a big boy already.
Oh, he's a big boy, and nobody wants to mess with him.
No.
Well,
okay,
no,
good.
And no one should get death threats.
That's right.
Terrible. That's
Yeah.
awful.
Well, thank you
Congresswoman,
for your
thanks so
time.
much for coming in.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right.
And to our